It's Tuesday, March 28th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to chat with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Then we'll chat with newly appointed Growth Management Director Elizabeth Jenkins. And finally, we'll talk with DPW Director Dan Santos. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. A project to redesign the Osterville Bay Fields is on hold, at least until September. The Community Preservation Committee voted to put that project on hold until the completion of a current field assessment study of all Barnstable recreation fields. Town officials requested $434,000 of community preservation funds to begin the design and approval process for the Osterville Recreation Project. That request will go back before the Community Preservation Committee sometime this fall. The Barnstable Land Trust is one step closer to its goal of preserving 3.5 acres of land off Church Street in West Barnstable. The Community Preservation Committee voted to support spending $175,000 of community preservation funds to help purchase the property. The parcel is considered a vital link in the Cape Cod Pathways system. The proposal will still need to be approved by Town Council. The Board of Health will discuss lifeguard regulations at its meeting today. Right now, Barnstable hotels and motels with 75 units or less are not required to have a lifeguard. That current trial period is about to end, and the board will consider how to proceed. The Board of Health meets at 3 this afternoon in the Town Hall hearing room. That meeting will air live right here on Channel 18. The Calmus Beach parking lot is getting an upgrade. The lot will be cleaned and will get a brand new asphalt pavement overlay as well as new line striping. Work is expected to be complete by April 7th. That's weather permitting, of course. Vehicle access to the parking area during construction will be restricted. Visitors are advised to seek an alternate beach location. Up next, we're going to chat with Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Police Chief Paul McDonald joining me now live on the phone. Chief, a little bit of a bust, I would say. You have arrested someone who is accused of taking money from someone they're working for. Can you tell me a little bit about this case?
This is a case that Detective Valerie Hemmel has been working on for several weeks. It involves identity theft, which is, as you know, rather common nowadays. But this involves a live-in home health aide. A family in Centerville hired this woman to live in and take care of their elderly mother, who was in her early 90s, and she was living there for several months. During the time, the family would leave, 4 to 6 checks there, and they were signed checks, and she had the authority to cash the checks for her own salary, and if she had to buy some incidentals during the course of the week, she could use the checks for doing that. During the course of balancing the checks, they found out that the checking account was overdrawn by almost $20,000. When they went down to confront the lady was not home. They went into the garage. What they found in the garage was literally boxes and boxes of cleaning products, household convenience items, and personal hygiene items. They then decided not to confront the home health aide worker. They just told her that her services would no longer be needed because they were going to transfer their mother to a assisted living quarters. They had family that contacted the police. Detective Hamlin got involved in it, and what they found out what she was doing, she was writing checks to the tune of almost $20,000, defrauding the family out of. And what she did, she'd opened 5 credit cards in the mother's name and maxed every one of them out to well over $35,000, and also maxed out one of the LL Beam cards for over $10,000. And what she was buying with all these credit cards were boxes and boxes of cleaning products, household convenience items, and personal hygiene items. And what her plan was, when we finally went down there and executed a search warrant and recovered all the items, they were all stacked and packed on a pallet, wrapped, and being prepared for shipment to South Africa. Because what this lady had in Sierra Leone, Africa, was she had her own convenience stores. And she was literally bilking this woman with credit cards, buying products, shipping them to Africa to resell at her convenience store, which is simply unbelievable.
You're not kidding. I think unbelievable is the right word. I'm sitting here listening to you tell me the story, and my jaw is hanging down. It's shocking.
When we recovered the stuff, we had sent the team of officers down to recover everything, and it literally took up the entire bay of one garage to stock everything. We have everything here at the facility. She was subsequently arrested last Friday, and she was held on $15,000 cash bail. But this is something that everyone should be aware of. You know, when you're bringing somebody into the house, when you're trusting them with your checks, you really have to do some type of background on the individuals, make sure that individuals are trustworthy individuals, because, you know, we deal with identity theft all the time, but this is really unusual for even what we deal with. You know, she had stolen almost $60,000 worth of product to ship back to Sierra Leone, Africa, to restock her shelves and her convenience store, which is unbelievable.
It's insane. A couple questions popped right into my head. The first question of which, what kind of charges is she going to face?
Multiple charges of identity theft. Every time you took out a credit card, and I believe there was 5 credit cards in total. So there's multiple cards of identity theft, and there's larceny pursuant to a single scheme for multiple items. With the $20,000 shootout, she purchased herself a Mercedes-Benz. We now have the Mercedes-Benz. We've recovered all of the items that were stolen. We can account for almost every penny of the $60,000. The problem is, you know, which is good for the family, because the family will be reimbursed for all of the money. The family and the lady will not be out one penny. The problem is, what do we do with all this stuff? You know, the credit cards companies, I mean, they're national credit card companies. They're all over the country, and they're not going to come by and pick up the boxes of hygiene products. So we have all these items, and we're not sure how we're going to dispose of them.
And I guess that was my second concern, just that the family would be left with this debt. I'm not sure quite how this is handled when there are credit cards taken out in someone else's name. Can that be rectified and fixed for the family?
Yes, the family will be made whole, okay, because they notified the police, because criminal charges were taken out. An individual was arrested. All the property was recovered. The family probably has already been made whole for everything. They will not be out one penny. The problem is now we have this stuff, and technically the owners of all this merchandise will be the credit card companies. But there are so many credit card companies involved. To us, it's a lot of money, $60,000, but to them, I'm not sure what they're planning on doing with it. So we're coming up with some other way to dispose of this stuff. And our plan is if the legitimate owner of the credit card company, if they don't want it, we will work with our legal department, and we will probably donate it. They will donate all of the items to the local shelters.
Wow, pretty crazy story there, Chief. Thank you for the diligence of your department cracking the case. We really appreciate it.
Something new and different.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't make this up.
Hey, thank you, Chief. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our guest today, Chief of Police Paul McDonald. Up next, we're going to chat with newly appointed Director of Growth Management, Elizabeth Jenkins. So Elizabeth, first off, I want to say congratulations. Town Council, of course, last week just voted to appoint you or accept your appointment to Director of Growth Management. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You must be very excited.
I am. What a tremendous opportunity to be able to serve the town of Barnstable in this capacity. You know, I've been with the town for 7-8 years now, but you know, to be able to again work as part of the senior leadership team here is a real honor. We have so much talent and professionalism here in the town of Barnstable. It's great to be able to work with some new colleagues, and looking forward to reaching out to folks in all the 7 villages to listen to them and get more connected.
Wonderful. And you know, like you said, you have worked for the town of Barnstable for a number of years, so really you can hit the ground running as far as when you enter the new position. You've been interim director since January. What are your goals for the future, and what do you see your staff working on in the next few months?
Sure. Well, we had a lot going on even when that interim appointment started. So one of the primary projects that we've been working on is this Hyannis area project, this idea of rallying the vision for downtown Hyannis around the reauthorization of the growth incentive zone. So that was an initiative we started 10 years ago. It's come up for renewal. So we're just checking back in with the community. How is the growth incentive zone working for you? What are the challenges? What do we need to update? So,
and just for our viewers who may not be familiar with the growth incentive zone, this is an area that was established really to encourage growth. What does it mean to be a part of the growth incentive zone? So is it easier for businesses to be licensed and to get up off the ground? What does that mean specifically?
So it's a planning and zoning effort in terms of permitting. So it's part of our larger smart growth strategy here in Barnstable, the idea that we limit development in the other villages that have, you know, community character and resource protection sensitivities, and we direct new growth in the town of Barnstable to downtown Hyannis, where we have infrastructure like wastewater, for example. So the incentive incentive there is the growth incentive zone is actually a partnership with the Cape Cod Commission. So there is no Cape Cod Commission permitting within the growth incentive zone. It's been pre-permitted essentially, and we also look to streamline our local zoning there as well. And that's another thing, another piece of this effort is looking at how we can modernize and streamline our local zoning regulations within downtown Hyannis.
What's the timeline for this project? So I know I spoke to you earlier in the year about really how the Cape Cod Commission had put together a survey that went out to the public. Lots of responders to the survey. Responses came in. Now, where are we in the process?
Sure. So we had a couple great public meetings where we announced the results of those surveys and had some back and forth with the community. Found out where we needed to get more input. So I think at this time I see kind of a two-phase process. I think by June we'd like to make some recommendations regarding the reauthorization and some of the regulatory modernization efforts that go with that. But I also think of what we felt going into this process and what we really confirmed through those meetings is that we've spent a lot of time focusing on Main Street Hyannis and kind of the surrounding mixed-use neighborhoods, but not really the residential neighborhoods that surround it and really have the potential to create even more vibrancy there. So we'd like to continue working with residents of those neighborhoods to talk about how can we make those neighborhoods more stable and more vibrant.
Not to put you on the spot, but how can you make some of the neighborhoods in Hyannis what are some ways that you as, say, the planning portion, how can that be helped? How can we make housing more vibrant?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're trying to address through this. So we're looking at capital, we're looking at infrastructure, are these neighborhoods walkable, where are there deficiencies there? We're looking at housing, what are the qualities and the types of housing there? Do we need a rehabilitation program? Do we need are there areas that are appropriate for additional density? So those are the kind of questions that we're asking ourselves as we go into this, and also of course always looking for Hyannis residents as part of this effort who'd like to participate in this conversation, and to that end have had some preliminary conversations with the civic associations about what their vision is as well.
Always so important to really get feedback from the community.
Oh, absolutely.
I know the growth management department is just really tries to get that public perspective and public input as you go through the process.
Well, I think that's the core of what we do here in growth management is really trying to reach out to the community, interpret their vision, how do they see themselves, and then help translate that into public policy.
Yeah, so we'll keep our eye on that, but still in the process, looking more towards the summer for future developments.
Right.
I want to ask you a little bit of an update on a big project that's gotten a lot of attention lately. Shoestring Properties has proposed building a condominium complex where the former Dockside restaurant was.
Right.
So what can you tell me, where are we in this stage of the project?
Yeah, so this has gotten a lot of media coverage, so I'm sure there are plenty of sources that folks can go to, as well as to the 200 Main Planning Board office if they want to see those files. But so this project, a residential condominium complex proposed on the Hyannis waterfront. It's currently in front of the planning board, the town's planning board. So they are reconsidering this project at their second meeting in April. So there'll be a future public hearing that we'll see, and they've also been talking with some of our other boards, committees, and commissions, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission, about the architecture, the renderings, and getting feedback from them before they go back to that planning board meeting in April.
Now, so that planning board meeting in April, the planning board could make a vote, or could they put it on hold even further?
Yep, it's being permitted through a regulatory agreement, so the timelines are flexible. Really, they're talking with the developer about how they're going to meet the requirements of the ordinance, what waivers they're going to get. So, the planning board, they like to move as expeditiously as possible, but sometimes, it's just a back and forth, an exchange of information.
Yeah, you got to find that balance of definitely preserving, keeping the community, but at the same time, including new development. So it's a challenge for sure. We'll, of course, keep our eye on that. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And again, congratulations on your new role.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks so much.
My guest today, of course, Elizabeth Jenkins. She is the new Director of Growth Management. Joining me now on the phone, DPW Director Dan Santos. Dan, it is springtime. It doesn't quite feel like it just yet, but it is springtime. That means you guys are going to get started on a lot of road and drainage projects. What can you tell me about this?
Well, Shirley, happy to. Every year we have basically two construction seasons, spring and fall, because we don't particularly do road construction in the summer for obvious reasons with all the second homeowners and the visitors and tourists and
our seasonal traffic may not be able to handle that road construction.
And then generally in the winter there's very little that goes on because the ground freezes and the asphalt plants are closed. So we focus on spring and fall, and our two big efforts are in road work and drainage work, and so we have annual contracts. So this spring we have a number of roads that we're going to be either doing a mill and pave, where we grind up the surface of the road and then put down a new surface, or just an overlay. We also do some chip sealing of roads, and some of those roads that we're considering or will be working on this spring include Johnny Cake Road in Centerville, Lombard Ave in West Barnstable, Mystic Drive in Marston's Mills, Osterville West Barnstable Road, portions of that, Pleasant Pine Ave in Centerville, and Rolling Hitch Road in Centerville. So there's a whole host of roads that we'll be maintaining. And the funds for this comes from our capital program that the Town Council sees fit to appropriate $3.25 million for every year. And we've made great strides in improving our overall road condition as a result of that in Barnstable. So this is a great program that I hope continues into the future, and it is on our manager's recommended list for discussion and hearing a week from tomorrow at the Town Council meeting. So the other portion of our roads is drainage, and this is road drainage, and because many roads were built with improper drainage, so there's puddles and flooding in certain areas. So we try to, as we learn about those, we put them into our program. So the first one we already started this year was at the Sandy Neck Gatehouse. There was an issue there with puddling, but we're doing work on Commerce Road in Barnstable Village, Point of Pine Road in Centerville. That's along with the paving work there. Some drainage work on Pitcher's Way, Mitchell's Way in Hyannis. A number of locations on Mitchell's Way we're trying to rectify. Chase Street and South Street in Hyannis, another notorious puddle area. Scudder Lane and Marston's Ave. These are, if you've driven around after a rainstorm, you'll recognize some of these where we have some pretty good puddles that form. And they do eventually drain. It's just that they're dangerous until they do. So
you'll want to take care of that for sure. And I'm sure we have a lot of happy homeowners who have seen roadway improvements that couldn't have been made before. But thanks to some changes in legislation as well as municipal funding sources, you're now able to take care of some of those private roads that may be used more than just the neighbors.
Yes, right. These are collector roads. These are significant roads, and a few that come to mind are Mary Dunn Road and High Street and what's the one in Old Strawberry Hill Road. So there's a number, Flint Street. These you wouldn't think are private roads, but they are in fact, and so we were able to fix those in the last couple of years.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, I know this is a time of year too when many projects will get done. Where do we stand on the Craigville bathhouse, the Craigville Beach bathhouse? I know that was getting some renovations. Is that going to be ready for the summer season?
Yes, it will. We've done the entire exterior. We're going to have outdoor showers there. That work's underway right now. We've completely renovated the inside as far as the restrooms. So we have brand new restrooms, both men and women. There's going to be some exterior changing stalls, new ceiling, paint. So that's all underway, and we'll be ready for opening day there.
I also just read in the newscast, Calmus Beach, or not Calmus, the beach in Osterville, Douse's Beach, is getting a new parking lot, or getting repaved. Is this on target to open back up April 8th, as they were saying?
what's April 8th?
Oh, I just, this park, the Calmus Beach, it is Calmus Beach.
Yes.
The Calmus Beach parking lot's going to be upgraded and
Yes,
new asphalt
correct.
services.
Yep.
Basically, it says by April 7th that project will be complete.
Oh,
Just
yes.
the timeline on that.
Yep. Yeah, I thought you meant the beach opening April 8th. I think that's a little early.
Yeah, that is a little early. We're a little hopeful.
Yeah, but our work, yeah.
We're excited about the beach
Our
opening.
paving work,
but
yep.
Yeah, so
Yep,
that's
sorry
an
about
exciting
the
project
misunderstanding.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting everything ready to go for the season.
Yep.
Any other big projects we should be aware of, Dan?
Down at Prince Cove Marina, we're doing replacing the bulkhead there, so that's a significant project that's underway right now.
And how long will that take to complete?
Well, it'll be done, before the opening of the marina in May.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for giving us an update on all things that are happening in the Department of Public Works. We really appreciate it and look forward to see some of those improvements as we drive around town.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Dan. Talk to you
bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye. Our guest today, of course, DPW Director Dan Santos. Now we're going to find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Well, this Friday, grown-ups can learn how to make sailor valentines. This drop-in craft class is geared towards adults, but of course, adults are welcome to bring younger partners along if they wish. The library will supply the shells and some patterns. All you need is enthusiasm and creativity. The free event will be held this Friday, March 31st from 1 to 3. Call the Cotuit Library to sign up. A little reminder, the Weldon Memorial Library will be closed all week this week. That's due to a painting project. The library will reopen Saturday, April 1st. The Barnstable Senior Center will host this year's Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day. The gathering commemorates when the last American troops left Vietnam. All Vietnam veterans from the Cape and Islands are invited to join in with their families. The event is free to attend. Please contact the Senior Center to sign up. The Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day will be held tomorrow, Wednesday, March 29th from 1:30 to 3. Now here's a look at this week's board, committee, and commission meeting schedule. Well, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be back tomorrow with another great show for you. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.